Some of today is going to be a review, but we need this review because we need to make sure we're doing things correctly. So first of all, whenever I want to cut a line that is parallel, I need to measure it in two locations. So here I'm measuring 1 inch from the edge of my piece of paper or my piece of cardboard, and then I'm going to draw my line across. So now I have a 1 inch line that I've created, and I know it's 1 inch here and I know it's 1 inch here because I measured in two locations that were a distance from each other to make sure that I have a parallel edge. The next thing I'm going to tell you is, now that I'm ready to cut this line, I like to use a straight edge to help to guide my X-Acto blade. So I'm going to go ahead and lay my straight edge down. Even though I've already measured it, I'm going to keep my fingers behind it, behind that straight edge. And I'm going to use my X-Acto blade like a scissors, blade down, making sure to cut on top of the mat. I take my time, and I like to go through it a few times until I can easily lift up my piece of cardboard. Now, if I was turning this into a tab or a slot, I want to measure that. So I'm going to go ahead and use my piece of tag board or my piece of construction paper as a measurement tool. I could also use a ruler. Now, the thickness of this is like so, and you usually want to make this a little bit slightly tighter than the construction paper itself. So I'm going to make a slot. Notice I just moved my fingers. I didn't want to accidentally cut too far in this direction. And then this one's a little bit longer, so I'm going to go ahead and use my ruler to help guide my X-Acto blade. And I can see from the back side, I didn't quite cut all the way through, but I can see where my cut started. So I'm just going to come at it from the back and pop out my extra. I can clean it out. And now I should have created a slot for my piece of cardboard to go through, and it's a pretty sturdy slot. It's not going to slide. I used the piece of cardboard to measure the slot, so it'll stand up however I so choose to use it. I'm going to go ahead now and cut myself a 2-inch chunk. Again, I always like to pre-measure and use a ruler. Then I'm going to cut myself another 2-inch chunk. So now I have two 2-inch chunks. They're about the same. Now I want to go 1 inch jump on both. And I'm going to make a slot that's not centered. Oh, that one's way off. Let's see. This one's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and grab a scissors here. So now I can take these two, and I'm gonna have to wedge them, but again, I want it tight because I want it to stay together. And I can create two slots, can create a connection here. If I want to create a tab, I'll use my pencil. I don't know where I put my pencil. Oh, there it is. To indicate the size I want my tab, but then this could come out. So where this one went all the way through, right, this one's gonna stop, right? And I can fold this over and tape it later on if I want to, or I can have it just there, but it's gonna determine how deep it goes in and it's gonna stop. I'm using the rest of the cardboard to determine that, or to check that. Say I want to take these two pieces and I want to stitch them together. Just like to give myself an indicator of where I want my hole punches. I want to go in about 1/4 of an inch. And then it's important that I pull my needle through. And again, these plastic needles are not ideal, but they work. I mean, I've made a lot of sculptures just using these plastic needles as a punch. Hole punches, the holes seem to be too big. These plastic needles are perfect. This one's really not wanting to go through, so I'm going to use the tip of my pencil to get it started. This one doesn't want to go through either. I'm going to pop it through with the tip of my pencil. All right, so once I've created the holes, then I'm ready to put either wire or pipe cleaner or string or yarn through and stitch them in whichever stitch I choose. So again, these are just some construction techniques to help solve your construction challenge problems. Good luck.